probably a good point to note that you can see I've numbered all of my brushes. Now you don't have to do that, you could store them in any convention you like. I know purely that by numbering my brushes I know that they're going to be in perfect sequence for me to use. Same again, it's a little tip that's probably a good idea to do if you're doing multiple views of a particular development. Number your brushes into sequence so you know that you can literally step through them almost sort of in a factory fashion to get to not quite a painting by numbers, but a very short workflow to a finished illustration at the end. In this particular instance, it's a cutout. Our cutout tool is selected up here, and you can see from our path that we're picking Mail 002. It's a PNG file. Cutouts have to be PNG files, or alternatively, you could place SketchUp files, .skp files as cutouts within here, and I'll show you how to do that very shortly. In this particular instance, he has a real world height. He has a 1.8 meter height, so that when I go to place him within my model, as you see, I'll move my mouse over here, you can see him scaling proportionally to my building. So there's none of this scaling by eye or trying to judge like you would have to do in something like Photoshop to make sure that people all looked a reasonable distance. But the great thing about it is also that you can be free and stop at people wherever you like and not have to worry about whether or not they're going to be relative to each other, because you know that by using the information that comes through with the cutouts that they're always going to be perfectly sized for your particular illustration. Now I'm going to pop him on the path there. Now the important thing about cutouts actually is that in this particular instance he is a photograph. If I drop him in, you can see that he's a photograph that we're using, but because the finished result is going to be something that looks a little bit watercolory, I don't really want to have a clean photographic person within there. I think he draws too much attention away. He's a little bit too bright and colourful. So if I undo that, what I can do is I can select him in outline mode, and I've defined an outline edge colour and a fill colour. Now you can also, as you can see from the drop down option, have motion blur, so you can apply either photographic or outline with motion blur. That's great for things like cyclists or kids on skateboards or cars that you place within your illustration, just to give them a sense of motion. So in this particular instance I've selected outline mode. I'm going to pop him on the path. Now we're going to go to our multiple cutout option. Now the great thing about this tool is it just makes it so quick to be able to stick any kind of entourage around our illustration. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to undo him. I'll go back purely because I want to show you that actually within Piranesian, another option that you've got is to be able to apply shadows. Now, as I mentioned earlier to Alvin, this isn't a modelling application, so we can't rotate around our model. It's purely a painting tool, a 2D painting tool with 3D understanding. But equally, it means that we don't have the ability to be able to put in a main primary light source. But as you can see from our model, we had shadows that were applied within SketchUp that have persisted through into this particular illustration. So if we want to be able to use shadows, every single cutout that we place, every item that we place into our illustration can actually cast a shadow. So I've turned on shadows in my cutout manager here, and all of these little additional palettes at the top here, I should point out, can pop out, so you can have lots of different windows available, but for the benefit of screen real estate, they're also tileable and stackable, but you can pull all of those out, and they're all accessible through from our toolbar options here. You can turn on or off as many as you like within here. They're accessible also through from the advanced settings chevrons on our tool. So, for example, I have the cutout tool selected, I click my advanced settings, and it will automatically bring to the fore my cutout advanced settings palette. Now inside Cutout Manager, I've turned on my shadows. I'm going to position him, but I want him to cast a shadow, and as you can see I've got one here, and the way that you do it is you pick, using the shadow picker, you get a starting point, and as you can probably see there we have a crosshair. The crosshair is our starting point. What I'm going to do is click and hold down my left mouse button and just drag down to the point at which the shadow is being cast from that particular part of my original model. So that corner comes down to here from the shadow. I let go, and that's defined a shadow direction. Now if I do update select or update all, in this particular instance there's only one item, so I can do update all, he will cast a shadow in the direction that has come through from my original model. As you can see, it's being cast and it's actually wrapping up 3D nature of my building as well. Now, for the purposes actually of this particular illustration, I'm going to turn shadows off because I'm going to be putting an awful lot of cutouts in one go. And the best way to use shadows is actually to place all of your cutouts if you're going to be putting a large amount in, and then update the shadows at the end and apply them all, because they take a little bit of time to render. And if you're doing a lot of cutouts in one go, you don't really want to sit and watch the rendering happen. I say a bit of time to render, nothing in comparison to sort of the high-end photorealistic rendering. If you ever try doing any of that, it's not a case of setting it going and walking away for a couple of hours. But the great thing about Piranesi is, as you can see, you start to get instant results. It's a very quick to use tool, and so anything that takes longer than a few seconds we consider as taking a bit of time, and I don't really want to take up the presentation time with it. Now, you probably saw as I had selected this tool earlier, likewise the tree scale, any cutout that you apply scales perfectly in proportion relative to its environment. Now, I could put trees in front of the building if I wanted to, but I want to put them in the as a frame to my building. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the cutout tool to actually place cutouts behind my house. We saw the background drop in and automatically mask. Well, the same will apply with cutouts as well. Cutouts can be placed in front of and behind things. So the back corner of my building is here. This is a multiple cutout that is going to paint me a 6x2 grid of trees. It's going to paint 12 trees in total, and it's going to paint them from this trees folder that I've got here, and each one is a photographic cutout that's been converted to outlines like I think that was, and we've picked a complementary outline color and fill color, so it's pointing off to this particular folder. As you can see, the library category is trees from that folder, and what it's going to do is it's going to paint me 12 trees, and in this particular instance I haven't got random selected, so it's going to paint them on a fixed grid, and you'll see as I click and drag the grey diamonds that form the locations for each one of the cutouts I'm going to place. So there's my back corner of my building. I'm going to go a little bit higher up the image, so consequently further into the image, click and hold, and then drag, and you see the grey diamonds appearing. Get over to the other side of the building, let go, and it's going to paint the sequence, a random sequence out of that folder. As you can see, it's painting them behind my building. Now, you've just disappeared by the looks of that. Do bear with me. Hopefully you're back. Okay, can everybody just send me a chat line to say that they've come back? Yes, okay, great. That's one of the nice little foibles of NetViewer. Occasionally when we're doing memory-hungry things, it seems to disappear until it comes back. So if that happens again, I'll keep an eye out on it and just double-check that you're all still with us. So as you can see, with just a little click and drag, I've placed 12 trees behind my building, so it's a very quick tool to be able to quickly place something into context. Now, if you imagine doing, I don't know, a shopping centre or something like that, which is going to contain a large amount of people at any one go, you could say I want to put 400 people in, select 20 by 20, and click and drag your frame to the floor space within your shopping centre, and it will paint you 400 people. You want, in that particular instance, to tick random, so you've got a random configuration within that space. But it's a very, very quick mechanism to populate anything from trees to cars to people. And obviously, if you uncheck random and leave it empty, using the next tool that I've got here, which is rather than being a grid, just a line of trees, you could, for example, place a whole queue of cars or cars parked alongside a side street, alongside the sidewalk. And again, they will apply automatic perspective, so you can have a line of cars going from foreground to background and scaling proportionally perfectly along that line. It doesn't have to be in the horizontal like I've just done there. So I've got an outline tree line here, and I'm going to go a little bit further back than the little trees that I placed before, and just drag over. And again, as you can see, this one's just a line, so there's a number of trees, but they're just they're lighter, and they're just to get a little bit more of a sort of a depth of field to the image. Hopefully you stayed with me all the way through that one. And again, you know, I can keep doing this and keep populating up my image very quickly and simply.